It's 8 p.m. in Banjul, and from our studios on MDI Road, this is the news. First, the headlines. President Jammeh donates 5 brand-new vehicles to regional governors at a ceremony held at State House. The Gambia Radio and Television Services signs a 4-year contract with the Dakar-based African Union of Public Broadcasters on a range of issues. Going on the diplomatic offensive, the Gambia government opens a new embassy in Moscow. Caught in controversy, Greece resumes deportation of asylum seekers to Turkey in a deal to curb illegal migration to Europe. Well, viewers, those are your headlines. With me, WINIFRED NICOL. The Gambia Radio and Television Services has signed a 4-year contract with the Dakar-based African Union of Public Broadcasters on a number of issues relating to improving content and programming, capacity building for staff, and rights to rebroadcast sports events. The Memorandum of Understanding was signed by the Director General of the National Broadcaster, Momodu Sabali, and Charlie Evelyn Faye, Head of the Marketing and Communication Department of African Union of Broadcasters. GRTS's Momodu Jallo reports on a development that is set to revolutionize public broadcasting on the African continent.
Memorandum of Understanding formalizing the 4-year contract between the Gambia Radio and Television Services and the African Union of Broadcasters was signed at the GRTS headquarters as Third Press looked on. Momodu Sabali, the Director General, signed on behalf of GRTS, whilst Charlie Evelyn Faye, the Head of Marketing and Communication Department, signed on behalf of AUB. Even before the ink had dried, the two officials were quick to hail such a historic partnership, which would potentially overhaul public broadcasting in Africa, and particularly for GRTS.
This is a memorandum of understanding relating to a big project African Union of Broadcasting is putting on the way, relating to giving 1 minute airtime every day during the year for 4 years.
Well, GRTS stands to benefit a lot from this because the philosophy of the institution itself, the African Union of Broadcasters, is very much in line with the philosophy of the leadership of this country, that it is important for public broadcasters to be empowered and to be autonomous so that they can do their job of telling the beautiful African story as it is.
The African Union of Broadcasters is an umbrella organization of 44 public broadcasters across the continent and has its headquarters in Dakar, Senegal. The union has as one of its objectives the development of a robust and proactive media that represents and promotes the interests of the African continent. Therefore, this partnership will further strengthen this endeavor by giving public broadcasters the power and influence to lobby for their interests, fend off competition, and counter disinformation.
So this is going to help all African public broadcasters to fill an important void that has been affecting the continent since prior to the advent of independence. You can see, for instance, the Ebola menace that happened, that affected just 1 or 2 countries. But because of the activities of the private press, a whole continent had to suffer, especially our sub-region here. So if our public broadcasters had that strength that they need, they could do a better job in terms of countering some of these negative media campaigns, especially by the Western press.
Our aim is to give to public broadcasters all the power they should have in quality of contents, in quality of programming, in quality of the staff, to have a great staff. And our aim is to give them all the possibilities to train their staff and to fight also for the acquirement of the right of the broadcasting sport events.
Additionally, African public broadcasters will now find it easier to access rights to rebroadcast sports events, which individually incur astronomically high rates. This will be top on the agenda as they prepare for a major confab next month in Dakar.
The game has been so twisted in terms of the press on the continent, that a whole continental event like the African Cup of Nations, public broadcasters are finding it difficult to have access to rights to broadcast these games. So I think the timing could not have been better, because even the game that we hosted here, the Gambia against Mauritania, we had difficulties as a public broadcaster getting the rights to air this game. So I think this is one of the best things to come out of the African continent, because if we are to make the progress that is envisaged by our leaders, we have to be able to take control of telling the African story. And there's no better teller of that story than the public broadcasters of this continent.
As for GRTS, this historic partnership provides the opportunity for staff training, improve the financial situation, and provide equipment to better deliver services. Therefore, Gambians will look with keen interest as GRCS takes another giant leap into the future, which undoubtedly will open new challenges and opportunities. But if the words of Director General Sabali are anything to go by, it will not be long before Gambians notice the difference. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS News.
President Jammeh has donated 5 brand new vehicles to governors for rapid response to development needs. The ceremony, which took place at State House in Banjul, was presided over by Honorable Momodu Akibayo, Minister of Lands and Regional Governors. Here is an excerpt on what was said at the handing over ceremony.
Here to mark a very important event, and that is the handing over of 5 new vehicles to the 5 regional governors of the Islamic Republic of the Gambia. Vehicles donated by His Excellency Sheikh Professor Dr. Alhaji Yahya Jammeh Babil Mansur, so as to improve on the performance of the regional governors. This has been a dire need of the regional governors, and when the governors approached His Excellency the President through the Ministry of Lands and Regional Government, without any hesitation, he ensured that new vehicles were provided to all of them. On behalf of the regional governors and staff of my ministry, I thank His Excellency the President for once again demonstrating the interest he has in improving the lot of public officials. Therefore, I won't make a long speech by advising you how to handle the vehicles. It's just a reminder that please let the vehicles be treated as your own. Ensure that your drivers, they also carry out regular maintenance on the vehicles, and make sure that the vehicles are clean at all times.
Today, our thanks will go to the President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya Jammeh, for having responded so timely to the request that we made in providing us with these vehicles. We therefore thank him infinitely, counting on the support that the vehicles will give us in the regions. Because, as you will agree with me, there is always a strong correlation between the rate of development in the regions and the demand on regional offices of governors. The higher the volume of development packages going to the regions is the greater the demand on regional authorities to be available at most places. So that explains that one of the secrets why we are developing so rapidly is the timely response that His Excellency would always give to local demands and requests. And for this reason, on behalf of my colleagues, we thank him very well for having provided these vehicles and pray to the Almighty Allah for him to continue to serve the nation in this capacity for long and for good.
The Gambia has added a new diplomatic mission to its growing list of foreign offices with the opening of the new embassy in Moscow. It is the first time a Gambian embassy is opened in the Russian Federation. The mission was officially opened by Yam Bambanjai Keta, Deputy Secretary General. Babakar Senghor tells us more about that development.
The Gambia's flag will adorn this elegant building in this plush suburb of Moscow, as the Gambian embassy in Russia was officially inaugurated. Deputy Secretary General Yam Bambanjai Keta is leading a four-man official team to the Russian capital for this important assignment.
First of all, thank His Excellency, Chair Professor Dr. Alhaji Yahya A.J. Jammeh Babili Mansa, for sending us over to this important event, and also extend regards to the President of the Federation of Russia as well, for such an establishment with His Excellency. This mission has been a crucial part of His Excellency's vision to work with partners for mutual benefit of our people.
The official opening of the new Gambian diplomatic offices in Russia marks another significant development in the Gambia's growing influence in world politics and a supple yet an increasing assertive and well-defined foreign policy.
We've received an audience by Mr. Robert, the Deputy Head of Mission and currently the Charge d'Affaires of the Embassy, and we had a fruitful discussion with him, and he has given us the assurance that he will live up to expectation and work in the interest of the Gambia under the leadership of His Excellency, the President, and the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Nene Magdol Gay. And he has also given us some couple of advices as to how we can, make the embassy operational and effective in order to be able to pursue our bilateral activities with the Russian government. And we also, yesterday, we met with the officials of the Foreign Ministry, the Director of the African Division, and he has also assured us the full cooperation of the Russian authorities with regards to the pursuance of the bilateral activities and to consolidate the bilateral relations between the two countries.
Relations between Banjul and Moscow have taken on greater significance in the past few years, with both countries collaborating in critical areas such as tourism, international diplomacy, education, and other sectors.
First and foremost, I would want to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President, Professor Dr. Alhaji Yahya A.J. Jammeh, for taking this strategic decision as far as our engagement with the Russian Federation is concerned. This decision is strategic in the sense that we can look at it from the perspective of our economic cooperation, development cooperation, as well as our political engagement with the Russian Federation. Russia is a very, very big country because it is stretching from Eastern Europe to the Far East Asia. And also they have a lot of economic and political influence around the world. So our relationship with Russia, as far as I'm concerned, is very strategic and also extremely important.
The Deputy Secretary General and delegation, which also included Lamin Manga, Grts Deputy Director General, who also doubles as Russia's honorary consul in Banjul, also held important discussions with Russian government officials in Moscow. For two countries playing significant roles on the global scene, the opening of the Gambian diplomatic mission in Moscow is further evidence of the common interests of the two countries and their peoples. For Grts News is Babakar Senghor.
The Minister of Youth and Sports, Honorable Aluke Jammeh, on Thursday presided over the handing over ceremony of a vehicle and a power machine meant for the fishing boat of the voluntary returnees group at Tangi. The donation is courtesy of the International Organization for Migration, and it is meant to rehabilitate the returnees from the back way. Uminjai tells us more.
The handing over of a vehicle and a power machine to the voluntary returnees from the backway route, particularly for those transiting through Niger, is a direct assistance from the International Organization for Migration. Through its community initiative, the move is meant to curb youth irregular migration. The project targets 30 youths who voluntarily abandoned the perilous journey to Europe through the Mediterranean. The returnees are divided into 3 different groups based on their interest areas, including fishing, tailoring, and fish distribution. They are all supported with a startup capital together with entrepreneurship training for better management of their various businesses in a bid to contribute to national development. The vehicle and machine is going to the 2 groups who are into fishing and fish distribution in a bid to better facilitate their movements.
This project came about our boys and girls who do go, we call it backway, who do go trade those backway. Normally when they go, they are stranded, it's difficult for them to get back home. But IOM, with seek funding from Italian government, stroke EU, to assist these returnees, not only Gambians, people from this part of the world, to help them bring them back home safely, and not only bringing them back home, but to create a project for them. We call it a community project.
The Youth and Sports Minister remarked that IOM's gesture is in line with the Gambia government's efforts in developing its future leaders. Minister Jame advised the beneficiary group to make best use of the gesture in order to realize their dreams.
On behalf of His Excellency the President and his government, it is of highest privilege for me to come here this morning to preside over this symbolic handing over of materials to the youths. It is, by no doubt, another indication, very strong one for that matter, of the restlessness that this government, the President and his government, attaches to fulfilling its obligation towards ensuring that the young people of this country are put on the right footing and guided properly and nurtured for them to contribute meaningfully to the development of this country.
Other speakers included the Alcalo of Tangi, the Deputy Governor of West Coast Region, Musa Amul Nyasi, and Landing Sade, who all expressed gratitude to the IOM, but not without urging the youth group to be steadfast to their profession. Alhaji Sise spoke on behalf of the beneficiary group. He advised his fellow youth folk not to venture the perilous journey to Europe, but to be patient and explore the opportunities at home. With patience, persistence, and hard work, Minister Aliu Jame said the sky is the limit for the youths of the country, noting that this key sector has an important placement in the current government's development priorities. Omin Jai, GRTS.
Authorities at the National Agency Against Trafficking and Victims of Trafficking have been expounding on ways of stemming what is now widely known as modern-day slavery. The event, which brought together officials from the Ministry of Justice and other stakeholders, was designed to map out strategies to eliminate modern-day slavery. Buba SMCC reports.
Trafficking in persons is considered by many as a modern-day slavery. It is a global concern and calls for global action. It is against this backdrop that National Agency Against Trafficking in Persons, NATIP, is committed to partnering with relevant stakeholders, among them victims of trafficking in persons, to fight against this menace. Speaking earlier, Anthony Mendy, a state counsel, presented what he described as a holistic approach to the legal framework in relation with the provision of the 1997 Constitution.
Gambia takes the dualist approach. You understand, the dualist approach of having international instruments domesticated first before they come into being. But nonetheless, there are some international instruments that actually have a reflection in the Constitution. So that particular instrument does not necessarily need to be domesticated for it to take effect. but is contained in the Constitution. So when prosecutors are kind of offenses, we refer to the Constitution to prosecute that.
The forum was interactive as participants came up with pertinent questions and comments with respect to trafficking in persons.
There's a need to actually establish a court specifically to deal with trafficking cases. Because I think there's a lot of issues that needs to be ironed out first before we can just prematurely say we need a court for trafficking as such in this time, for sure.
I understand that it's easy to rectify all these international instruments, but when it comes to the implementation, it's always a challenge and it's very difficult. So in which way did the Gambia has implemented the international convention in terms of eradicating trafficking and also prosecuting those who are offenders of trafficking?
The Principal Assistant Secretary at the Ministry of the Interior, Umi Kalsum Cham, also shared with the forum her take on the meeting.
I would engage families to be more conscious that what they are engaged in by paying the fares of their children to travel abroad for employment is also part of trafficking. I think we have to raise more awareness. I know NATIP is doing a good job. They have a slot on TV and radio to raise awareness, but it doesn't stop there. It has to be a continued process because the ministry is involved. My minister and NATIP and a whole delegation went to Lebanon last year on a fact-finding mission, and thankfully some girls are back home.
The issue of human trafficking is very phenomenal nowadays. It is a crime that is very serious, and recently a lot of Gambians have been victims of human trafficking in one way or the other.
The Executive Director of NATIP, Tulai Jawara Sise, explained the rationale behind this meeting and expressed confidence that the convergence will map out strategies that will serve as deterrent to this menace.
The purpose of this task force meeting today is to bring together stakeholders, alleged victims of human trafficking, returnees from the Middle East, i.e. Lebanon, Kuwait, and Egypt, to brainstorm on issues of human trafficking and also addressing these issues, coming up with strategies to combat trafficking in persons in the Gambia.
It is expected that the meeting will provide an opportunity for the task force to come up with recommendations that will adequately address the issues of trafficking in persons, which include the establishment of a special court that deals with cases of trafficking in persons. Buba SMCC, GRTS.
Your Change for a Change, a non-governmental organization in the Gambia, Wednesday launched a reproductive health education project for adolescents in schools at Karaba Senior Secondary School. The launching is part of the activities marking the 5th anniversary of the organization. Janki Ture was there for us, and she now reports.
At least 30 students from Karaba Senior Secondary School benefited from a day-long training on reproductive health education project for adolescents in schools organized by Your Change for a Change, a non-profitable organization in the country. The main aim and objective of the project is to build the capacity of students on reproductive health issues and address major reproductive health problems facing adolescents in schools, as their mission is to make available quality and responsive disease preventive and management incentives for communities. The launching of this project by the group will undoubtedly benefit students as a whole. Abu Drame, the vice principal of Karaba Senior Secondary School, while advising the students, said adolescents are vulnerable considering their age, but urged them to make best use of the training.
Every step of the way, you need to be watchful. You need to be guided. You need to take the right decisions in life. And taking the right decision in life, it means knowing about yourself and know what you do from minute to minute to have a valuable or fruitful life. For reproductive health, it will help a lot in ordering your lives tomorrow, because reproductive health covers a lot of issues about your development.
Lamin Dabo, the Executive Director of National Youth Council, who also doubles as the Country Director of Your Change for a Change, explained how the foundation was formed.
These are critical to our development and our growth as young people and as adolescents. Your Change for a Change is a non-profit organization that commit itself to support communities, people in need, will help information and deliver services to them that help them grow and develop their communities. We believe in giving back to our communities, and we also inspire people to value charity, to give back to other people.
Taslima Jallo, a member, Your Change for a Change, said the project, dubbed Reproductive Health Education Project for Adolescents in Schools, aims to streamline health education amongst this target group. He also explained some of their achievements in this endeavor. Your Change for a Change is a non-profit organization founded on the 6th of April 2011 by a group of young individuals who are motivated to give back to their community and the world at large. The foundation is committed to achieving this goal globally. The launching of this initiative at the Kairoba Senior Secondary School will also benefit other schools, with training covering a whole range of topics like teenage pregnancy and its complications, among others. Participants are therefore expected to make best use of the training and to also give back to the society as well. Janke Ture, reporting for GRTS News.
That report by Janke Ture takes us to a forced break, but we will be back with news from outside the Gambia. Stay tuned.
Sunny data,
Sunny SMS,
Sunny credit,
Sunny boss. Get all these for only $5.
$10 credit, 10 megabytes data, and 10 SMS.
QCell. 10. Only on Gambia's quality network.
Sunny SIM, $5.
QCell SIM, $5 is only.
Pound rek.
You can now get a QCell SIM card for free. Yes, free. Just visit any QCell customer care center and pick up your free QCell SIM card. Sunny SIM,
Sunny data,
Sunny SMS,
Sunny credit,
Sunny boss.
Welcome back. Greece has resumed deportation of asylum seekers to Turkey in a controversial EU deal to curb illegal migration. 2 boats carrying over 100 people arrived at the Turkish port after leaving the Greek island of Lesbos. And in a separate development, Germany registered a top drop in a number of new asylum applications last month. The country has received hundreds of thousands of asylum seekers who took advantage of the favorable asylum policies Germany offers. We have more in this DWTV report.
Coping with Germany's migration crisis takes citizen dedication. That's why Angela Merkel has said thank you to churches, government services, and private charity organizations. Now the focus turns to integrating refugees into daily German life, a monumental task, even as pressure on Merkel eases as the number of asylum seekers falls. The ceasefire in Syria that we've had for weeks now, even though it's fragile, has calmed the situation somewhat. At least there is no longer the fear of hundreds of thousands of new refugees arriving. But it's closure of the Balkan route that's led to the decreased influx of refugees, a move Merkel criticized. Some border reception centers, such as this one in Bavaria, are empty at the moment. Just recently, thousands of migrants per day were being registered here. According to the latest data, in January, about 64,000 refugees arrived in Germany. In February, 38,000. In March, 5,000. The total number comes to 107,000 refugees since the year began. But the German Interior Minister was not willing to give a prognosis for the year 2016. We don't know how the implementation of the Turkish-Greek EU pact will develop in the long run. Most importantly, we do not know how alternative routes will change. For example, over the Mediterranean Sea from Libya to Italy. The German government estimates that in North Africa alone, as many as 200,000 refugees are waiting to cross over to Europe. So even though the current numbers have receded, the government warns that it is too early to say that the migration crisis is over.
And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. President Jammeh has donated 5 brand new vehicles to regional governors at a ceremony held at State House. The Gambia Radio and Television Services has signed a 4-year contract with the Dakar-based African Union of Public Broadcasters on a range of issues. Going on the diplomatic offensive, The Gambia government has opened a new embassy in Moscow, weeks after restoring ties with China. Caught in controversy, Greece has resumed deportation of asylum seekers to Turkey in a deal to curb illegal migration to Europe. Well, viewers, that was all we have for you now. Join us at 10 for more news. Until then, I am your presenter, WINIFRED NICOL.